Welcome to a pedagogical grammar of English for Arabic speakers. Today, we are looking at how words agree grammatically in English. Sometimes words are affected by another word nearby, and this means that we have to change the form of one of the words. English has very strict rules about these, so we need to take a look at them. Let's take a look here in our first activity at two verbs that we use very often. These are the verbs to be and to have. The verb to be is what we call an irregular verb in English because of the changes that take place in the present simple. So we have I am, you are, he is, and we are. The verb to have is not quite as irregular. We have has and have, so we just have to remember he has, she has, and it has. However, it's important to remember that there are far fewer changes on the verbs than there are on an Arabic verb. And so we come to the second situation of agreement, which is the present simple in English. And this is a very common error. People forget to put the S on the end of the verb. So when we have a verb where the subject is a single, he, a she, or it, as in the boy eats, the girl eats, we have to remember this S. When with everyone else, for example, I eat, you eat, we eat, they eat, the boys eat, the girls eat, there is no S. When you compare this to what we have to remember in Arabic, يأكل الولد, تأكل البنت, يأكل الأولاد, or الأولاد يأكلون, تأكل البنات, or البنات يأكلنا. You can see that it's not so difficult in English. All you have to remember is this S on the end of the present simple third person verb. So now you can do the activities in number 3 and 4 on the worksheet, which will help you practice what I have just said. Another area of agreement is noun with pronoun, and the system in English differs from that of Arabic. So for example, when we have a plural noun, as we have here in pots, when we use a pronoun to refer back to pots, the pronoun must agree with the noun. This is not like Arabic because we can see here fiha, referring to the plural noun pots, and ha is the singular pronoun. Similarly, in the emperor's mourning clothes, he wore them. Them is the plural referring to clothes, whereas in Arabic we have yalbus ha, and ha refers to the plural noun thiyab. Different system, we have to remember how the system works in English. Now it's important for you to revise the pronouns, so you can look here, I is a subject, me an object, to me, and so on. And you can do the activities related to these in the worksheet. We also have what are called possessive adjectives and possessive pronouns. So we have I, my, mine, you, your, yours, and so on. And you can review these and do the activities. We also have reflexive pronouns. So, for example, we say, I wash myself, because we are doing it to the self. Now, what we have to remember here with these is when we make it plural, for example, self refers to a singular. You wash yourself. He washes himself. When we come to the plural, we wash ourselves. You wash yourselves, and they wash themselves. So this is very important to remember the singular and plural forms. Then we have a situation where nouns agree with nouns. So an example here will help illustrate what I mean. If we say we are talking about a man, the man went pearling and fishing while his wife and family waited for him. If we speak about the men, we have, of course, to make the other nouns in the sentence plural if they refer directly to the men. So the men went pearling and fishing while their wives and families waited for them, because clearly the men had more than one wife and more than one family. Right? So you can do the various activities that are related to these in the worksheet. We come now to the adjectives that and this. These are peculiar in English. They are both adjectives and pronouns. When they function as an adjective, they have to agree with the noun that they are qualifying. So, for example, here is a common error. I slipped in the snow and fell to the ground. While I was in this situation, my friend laughed at me. Now, these is incorrect here. We either say while I was in this situation or these situations. And again, my grandfather told me about life in the past. He said that education in that days, so that here is singular, days is plural, it would be considered incorrect. We have to say in those days. Okay, now we come to the indefinite article, and we have already looked at this in the unit on making nouns indefinite. The indefinite article in English is a, an, another, and can only be found with singular nouns, unlike in written Arabic, where the mark of indefiniteness can be used with singular or plural nouns. So when we look here, here is an error. In the past, when people wanted to travel across the desert, they rode on camels. We cannot use a here because the noun is plural, so we would have to say they rode on camels. Similarly, in the second example, we have in an urban areas, which is also incorrect. We would have to say in urban areas. And you have lots of activities that will help you practice this example here. Right, now another example we have is verb tense agreeing with verb tense. Sometimes in Arabic, when we are talking about events that happened in the past, you will find that the first verb is in the past, al-madi, and then the other verbs may be in al-mudari. In English, we have much stricter rules about the past tense. So here, if we are talking about a number of activities that happened in the past, it is not enough to just put the first verb in the past. The other verbs, for example, traveled, took, found, should all be in the past verb form, as they are all referring to events that happened in the past. However, we also have to be careful to always think about the time we're talking about. So, for example, here, Arabs traveled across the desert on camels in the past, but today they drive big cars. So here we switch to the present tense. So you can't just decide arbitrarily. You have to think to yourself, what time am I talking about? We also have verbs in English that are followed by the specific parts of another verb. So to give an example, when we take the verb wants, it is followed by the infinitive. Ahmed wants to swim. Ahmed finishes swimming. We can have either the infinitive or the ing form. Some verbs can be followed by both. Some verbs are followed only by the infinitive, and some are followed by the ing form. And here is a list of verbs, and you need to practice and keep note of these in your notebook and get to know them well. We have another example of agreement is when we use the word each, it is followed by the singular form of the noun, each student. One of is followed by the plural, one of the funny stories I heard. When we use everyone, someone, anyone, the verb is in the singular form. And when we use some of the verb is in the plural form, and the noun following is plural as well. Many, a lot of, many can only be used with countable nouns, not with uncountable, whereas a lot of can be used with both. Relative pronouns plus the verb, relative pronoun which, who can refer to singular or plural nouns, but the verb will have to agree with the reference. So for example, here we have cities grow in places which, and which refers to places, it's plural, so therefore the verb must be plural. We have parallel structure in sentences, define, to discuss. So here, in this section, we have covered a lot of examples of agreement. Now you need to go to the worksheets and follow the instructions and do these activities carefully and practice them. And when you have done your written work, you need to go back and proofread, keeping all these points in mind.